are. I've got Sergey Snegirev with me. He is coming. You're in Latvia right now, so he is at his home base in Latvia. He travels around the world. He likes traveling. But today he's in his offices in Latvia, and we're just going through our shots, making sure everything's working okay. And we have an announcement to make a little bit later. So when we start the recording, you'll find out what our announcement is, and it has to do with Sergey. So we should just start the show recording now. Okay, so on 3, 2, and 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to LectoraLive, your inside track into Lectora. I'm joined today by our new co-host. Actually, he's been on the show so many times, we figured, you know what, let's just keep him here permanently. He's a fixture. But anyway, he's going to be our new co-host. Sometimes he'll be hosting shows on his own, and it is Sergey Snegirev from Branch Track, and you're all familiar with Branch Track because it's part of Lectora now, as far in Lectora 17. And Sergey, welcome aboard.
Hi, thank you. It's an honor. I haven't been on the show too many times. I think maybe about 3 or 4, but it's nice to kind of move up the ladder now.
It's fun. Oh, you'll have a good time, and you do so much in the community. I heard you're like the #1 community person, and you're still the #1 community person. Nobody does as much on the community as you do, and I think they appreciate that and the work you do. And I told the folks at Lectora that you were going to be joining us as a co-host. Everybody got happy, so that's it. And we needed somebody good looking on the show, so that's you. That's so
anyway. There's 2 of us now. Right?
No, just one. But
I just want to say that in terms of the community, I certainly try to help people out, but there are a few very, very talented people out there who really put in the hours, and I think what we should do with this show is to actually interview them. I don't think we've talked to all of them.
No, we haven't.
There are people from all over the world. There are people from Australia, from Germany, from Canada. So I think it's actually my new co-host resolution, I would say, to actually reach out to people on the Lectora forums or Lectora community and talk to
That'll be great. Yeah, we've had a hard time, and just for all you people watching, we are always trying to get guests on the show, and people are either afraid to come on, I don't know why, or they're nervous coming on. It's like, no, we haven't lost anybody on the show yet, and hopefully you won't be the first, but we have a good time. Just that a lot of people working, it's hard getting coordination on different hours and schedules and everything else, but we're fairly flexible, and we will try to get you on. So we are always looking for guests. We have lists of, for example, Lectora Advisory Board members as well as other users, and we had some great guests on already. We just want to make sure that we continue to have good guests. So here are the call to action. If we call you, send you emails, come on, we want to see you on the show. It'll be fun. Let's do our show intro, and then we'll start. And we're back. Well, Sergey, congratulations on having Branch Track added to Lectora 17. That's a great feather in your cap. That's a good thing. People like it. People who work with Branch Track have all enjoyed it. It's fun. So how are you enjoying that?
Well, it was certainly exciting, and the best thing that I like about that is I don't think that either us or Triventis developers invested a lot of time into that. I think it went as smoothly as possible for integration, and the guys have been very helpful in putting BranchTrack into Lectora Inspire. And we have dozens of people discovering it through this channel every day now. So we've had several hundred people trying out BranchTrack for the first time through Lectora. We are reaching out to them. We're offering webinars. We're offering one-on-one demos if they need any help. And yes, people are quite excited. So what we also did, by the way, is we also launched contest on the community website with Jennifer Wally, where we asked people to create something and in BranchTrack, and I think there's quite a few people as compared to other contests who have created their scenarios. We are evaluating them now, and we'll announce the winner as soon as possible. And we'll send out prizes and what we call BranchTrack swag and so on. So yeah, I think it's been a very warm welcome, and I'm really happy about that. Now the next milestone is to actually get Lectora Online to integrate BranchTrack. But with the Lectora 3.3. I think they're introducing web windows, and that's like a crucial stepstone in getting the BranchTrack integration out there. So yeah, we'll see what happens till the end of the year or maybe sooner.
Now, Lectora 17 brings a lot of new features, some small interface changes, things that look like a little bit more organized on the interface. What are some of the favorite things you like about Lectora 17?
Well, to be frank, I don't work with Lectora that much now that I'm running BranchTrack. In my previous career as e-learning developer or as a head of e-learning development department, I used to work with Lectora much more. I miss those times sometimes. So this is probably why I hang out on the forums all the time, just to have a reason to fire up Lectora and try to build a proof of concept or confirm or resolve a bug or help people out find something in their titles and so on. But yeah, so I really can't speak for all the features, and I don't think there's any developer out there who uses all the features so they can really compare. I think everyone uses a certain subset, but seamless play is definitely number one for me. I think this is really cool. And it's actually very smooth. The only drawback with that is that you can't really preview seamless playing titles from the hard disk anymore. You have to launch them on a web server.
Right.
So if you just unzip a folder of files and you click index.html and it launches, it doesn't show anything, because for it to be seamless, it has to be able to load other pages into the same page, and your computer will not allow for it if you're launching it locally. So this is kind of a little bit of a drawback. You have to put it on a web server somewhere. But it's outweighed a million times by the fact that there is no white flash anymore. That if you're on a slow connection, your pages load crisply, sharply, a whole page at a time, and you're not in those situations where everyone has already read the text, and now you see a background image slowly downloading onto your page. So it's a much better learner experience, I think. So yeah, and it doesn't change anything for developers either, which is always good, because when you introduce a new feature which makes things better but does not add any workload at all,
right? Pretty much a checkbox.
It's always a win.
It's pretty much a checkbox.
Exactly. Yes.
Turn it on, turn it off.
Yeah, I think it's even enabled by default, so you don't even have to turn it on. These guys saved you, one click extra right there.
and it does help. That one click is a lot of time, but I think you spend more time finding it than actually turning it on or off. But it is a nice new feature. We've been asking for something like that for I think about 10 years. How do we make it? We always kept getting the flash. Now in the old days they did have some code that would allow you to small amounts of code that you could put into a course, and the way the background manager work was a little bit different. And then you could get it so it didn't do it as much with the flashing. You can get rid of the flashing, but you still didn't have the smooth transitions or anything. Now it's a lot. Oh, it's just really clean right now. And it sounds like, well, what's that? What's the big deal with that? But remember, we're generating HTML5 and HTML code. So it's a little bit different because the code doesn't load like a Flash piece. So you've got to be a little more careful about how everything loads. And it's clever the way they did it. So it's very, I'd say it's pretty seamless the way it looks. So that's nice. Are there any other features of anything you've seen so far that
No, I still want to kind of hold on to seamless play and say how great it is, because one other thing that I've remembered, I've seen my guys at my other company migrate a bunch of titles from Lectora 16 to Lectora 17, and it went really smoothly. Usually, we all know how it is with Lectora. Sometimes when the new version is out, you have to not just migrate a title, but really do the whole quality assurance thing again, just in case something maybe customized or something quite exotic that you did in the previous title did not migrate that well into the new version. And this time, I think it's been a very, very smooth transition. We just had to amend our custom scripting just a little bit, but it was probably took us minutes. So that was also another point won by Team Trimantis this time. So I think Lectora 17 has been a very, very good release in that sense.
Yeah. Now, are you finding that more people, like for example in your other company, are they using Lectora Desktop, or have they started migrating to online?
Well, speaking of that particular company, they only use Lectora Desktop. I think they use Lectora Online a little bit when they were subcontracted by a customer who just assigned a couple of licenses, and we did the work, and they took back the licenses, which is a huge benefit in itself. They didn't pay anything extra to get a whole subcontracting team on board. They just reassigned some licenses. They got the work done. We moved away. You can't really do that easily with desktop, right? You have to deactivate license on certain computers, then you have to activate it again, and I think there's a limited number of times how you can do that, or something like that. So, well, desktop license management is a hassle. It's always been, and probably always will be. But with online, that's one perk right there. But no, they mostly use Lectora Desktop. And Lectora Online, I only encountered through BranchTrack customers, actually. I didn't expect it, but quite a few customers, especially when the Lectora 17 was out with BranchTrack, virtually everyone who uses Lectora Online and BranchTrack emailed us asking, like, hey, are we getting that at any point, or how does that work with Lectora Online, and so on. So there are quite a few people who use that tool as well.
Have you noticed in your support in the community and everything that online is growing more? Because I'm hearing that online's growing more and more as people get familiar with it and they get used to it. It's getting more popular because, like you said, licensing is a little bit easier. It really works just as well as the desktop version. Half the time when I'm on online, I don't remember, am I on desktop? Oh, right, I'm on online right now, because it feels very similar in a lot of it, but it's not slow, which is good. Do you feel it's growing, or desktop is still probably the main purchase that's going on right now?
Well, I think desktop is still dominating because of how corporations are. Nobody likes, their data in the cloud and all that. Pardon my French. Feel free to edit it out. It's all a bunch of bullshit. I mean, everyone is moving to the cloud. Everyone is moving towards Gmails and Google Drives and their counterparts, keeping files in Dropbox and Microsoft Drive and Office 365 and so on and so on. and it's just how technology is developing. We get more bandwidth, we get cheaper bandwidth. It has a million of different practical perks, like being able to collaborate, being able to work from anywhere. The only downside is that, yes, your files are on somebody's server, but 9 times out of 10 they're on somebody's servers anyhow, unless you're Lockheed Martin or something like that, and an entirely locked down government contractor.
Yep.
But I think it's just the course of the nature.
Now, I made a request. I actually requested of John Blackman. I said, can you make it so that we can save files on our servers and use online, or Dropbox or something else? Because people are always funny about where the content is, whether it's on their servers. I would actually prefer it more on our servers, because we could host our own servers and people will have access, or even on Dropbox. I would love to see a Dropbox extension, or maybe a Microsoft OneDrive, because then a lot of corporations use OneDrive, and everybody who's got an email account has a OneDrive account, and they use it just like Dropbox to store a lot of different database stuff and just development. So I'd like to see that, because then companies would be more willing to go online, because now it's on their servers, even though it's not. They feel more or closer to the Dropbox and the OneDrive type solutions versus having it on a different vendor server. It's really the same when you come down to it. It's just where people feel comfortable. So we'll see if that ever happens. I think that'd be a nice feature. At least the option of to be able to choose one or the other.
Well, I want to disagree with you, right? We're co-hosting, there should be some drama in our show. So I actually disagree with you for 2 reasons. One, you can install Lectora Online, the full server thing, on your own servers if you like.
Can you? I thought it had to be on theirs. No,
you can. You pay a little extra for the server license. Well, not a little extra. It's quite costly, but then you get a discount on actual authoring licenses.
Okay.
So if you're looking at I think about 15 to 20 authors, then you're definitely even saving money if you install it on your own servers, because then Triventis don't care about your security or bandwidth or server space, disk space, and so on. So if you're looking at purchasing a dozen licenses or more, you might also consider installing it on your own servers.
Okay.
And yes, that option is available. It's probably not widely advertised, because it's easier to get people all into the same server, and you have the data on how your service is used, and you can improve your application and interfaces based on this data and so on. And once your software is installed somewhere behind a firewall, you have no idea what's going on there. Maybe nobody is using it, or maybe they are. It's really hard to tell. So, but technically that option is there. It's right there in the price list. All you have to do is to ask your Triventis sales rep, hey, can we install it on premise? They'll say, yeah, sure, why not? So that's one point. And another point about Dropbox. No, I don't think you should be able to kind of bring it all into your own cloud. What I would like to see is that I want to be able to save my Lectora desktop files onto Lectora Online server, so that if I save it here on my computer to the server, and I go to another machine and fire up Lectora Online, I can see those files, I can edit them, I can save them, and then I can go back to Lectora Desktop and sort of download them from the cloud, and so on. I want this free choice of where I want to edit based on what's available to me, because I still find the desktop application a little bit more responsive, a little bit faster. It's a little bit easier to drag a file into that. It's a little bit easier to manage files through File Explorer on your drive rather than through online interface for file management that Lectora Online offers. But there are huge advantages to being able to edit through the cloud when you're not at home or at the office where you have the licenses. There's a huge amount of collaboration going on in the cloud when you can check out part of the title and work on it while other people work on the other part of the title, and so on and so on. So why not kind of blend those two products together and get the best of both offerings? And I would imagine that this is a very win-win situation for both products. But probably, there's quite a bit of development involved in that. But I would really expect Lectora to kind of be moving in that direction strategically, at least.
That sounds good. It actually sounds really good. Well, Sergey, we are pretty much at the about 30-minute mark. We're real close to that. And I know you're going to start your weekend soon. So are we. Have you been traveling? Have you been to any shows after DevLearn? DevLearn.
That
was last November.
I've done quite a bit of travel, but no shows. So the next show I'm going to is Learning Technologies in London. That's next week.
That's next week. Okay, I knew it was coming up soon. Okay.
Yes, Triventis will be there for both days. I will try to hang out by the Triventis booth, but I have quite a few meetings scheduled for those 2 days. So if anyone wants to, I don't know, what's the British expression, grab a cup of tea or something, I would be happy to. And I know that John Blackman will be there. So if you want to talk like real Lectora, then stop by Triventis booth at Learning Technologies in London, February 1st and 2nd. So that's the show I'm looking forward to.
That'll be fun. I heard that's a really good show. I've never been to that show. I'd love to go one day. I heard it's a very large show.
Yes, you heard correct. It's huge. I think it's a little bit too large for its own good. It's essentially two shows combined into one. One is Learning Technologies, and another one is I think Learning Skills or something. So one is focused on the learning platforms and authoring tools and so on, and the other one is focused on kind of offering training services and kind of this other part of the training picture. And together those two shows are really huge, and 2 days is barely enough if you want to kind of walk around and have at least a cursory glance or some brief conversations with the companies that you're interested in talking to. So yeah, it's pretty impressive, and I was quite underwhelmed by American shows, which are much smaller, but on the other hand, they happen all the time in all different places.
Right. Our shows used to be a lot bigger, like, for example, training, whatever year they're at, let's say training 2017. In the old days, those used to take up almost the whole conference hall. Not anymore. Ever since people stopped traveling as much, but like you said, there are 10 shows a year versus 1 or 2. But no, they used to be a lot bigger. I remember you would have 20, 30 aisles of vendors. Now you have maybe 6 or 8. That's a pretty big difference. Now, this show is the biggest show in Europe for training?
I don't have the numbers. It certainly feels big. There's also a learning technology conference that's, I think it's going on right now, or maybe it finished yesterday in Germany, called LearnTech. And but as all things German, it's quite region specific.
Okay.
And there's also Online Educa in Berlin, which is another German show. And there's also a learning show in Paris. But there's probably like 4 or 5 notable shows in Europe yearly, and there's at least 10 plus lots of conferences and all those events by ATD and other organizations in US. So I would expect each individual show in US to be smaller. But yeah, the first time you move from Europe and you go into an American show and you're like, what? It's like 5 rows of vendors and that's it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's changed. It definitely used to be a lot larger. So and maybe it'll change again. It just depends on. But again, like you said, there's also a lot of shows here, and after a while, you've seen one, you've seen the other. They're all pretty similar, so you don't have to go to 8 shows a year. If you see 1 or 2, that's good enough. We usually go to 2 a year. We usually go to Learning Solutions and DevLearn. This year we didn't go to DevLearn. I really wanted to go to DevLearn, but we were in the middle of a move, and that didn't happen. So maybe this year we'll go, but last year we couldn't, and we did go to the TLDC conference, which is a new one. That was fun. That was in San Diego. Very small conference. Only about 100 people showed up, but it was fun. Very intimate. It was a good time there. Well, anyway, want to again welcome you aboard. You'll be seeing a lot more of Sergey on the show, and so it'll be fun to have him on as a co-host and friend. And we'll have a lot of guests for you coming up very soon. And don't forget the Lectora User Conference 2017 is going to be held in Cincinnati, Ohio at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. That should be a lot of fun. I know you're going, I think, right?
Yes, I am going, and I still have to get my tickets sorted, and I have to submit my speaking proposal.
Same
so,
here.
Stephanie, if you're watching this, I'm really, really sorry. I will get right to it.
And same here. I've already talked about what I wanted to talk about. They said, that sounds good, but now I have to do it formally. So I'll be doing that probably this weekend.
This is where I'm at.
Yep. That's the hard part, getting to do the paper. I hate doing paperwork. But we'll get that stuff in. That should be a lot of fun. We're also going to be doing the show live at the conference. So Sergey will probably have his branch track booth. Maybe we can work it so our booths are together, and we can just go from show to doing your demos and other things. So that'll be fun. But that's coming up. I think it's May 2nd through 4th.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's 2nd through 4th May. Early May, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. Had a good time at the live. Was that your first one last year?
No, not at all. My first one was in Hollywood, in LA in 2014.
Oh, you came to that one. Okay.
Yes,
I couldn't make it to that one.
And then I've visited every show ever since.
Okay.
So I've been to Nashville, and then I've been to Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
Was it last year? And now I'm going to Cincinnati. Yeah. It's a great show. Like you said, when a show is not like super huge, it becomes more efficient, I would say. I'm not sure if intimate is the right word, but it's a very friendly bunch of people there. So you get a lot more contacts and a lot more learning than you typically get in a show where there's like 800, 900 attendees. Local shows are a bit smaller than that, but then everyone has the same challenges as you. Everyone has the same job description as you, pretty much. So you can talk to pretty much anyone there with confidence, as opposed to approaching people in a huge ASTD conference or something.
That's true, and they are big. Usually they're about 10,000. Like ICE is 10,000, 8 to 10,000 people. That's a lot of people, and they're focused on different things. And e-learning isn't one of them. That's not the big one. It's more trainers and instructors and things like that. It's a good show, but it's big. I'm looking forward to the Trivantis show, the Lectora User Conference. And Cincinnati, I've been there. It's a nice place. It's actually not bad, even though it is funny because you don't fly into Cincinnati. The Cincinnati airport is actually in Kentucky. It's sort of funny. Different state, but it's only like 10 minutes away from Cincinnati. Well, anyway, I look forward to seeing you there. That's probably the next time we'll see each other. And I'll see you here weekly, probably. So we're looking forward to seeing you and guests and everything else. It'll be a good time. And we'll see you at the Lectora User Conference 2017 in Cincinnati. Be there and have a good time. Well, have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next week on Lectora Live. Thanks, Sergey.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye. You too.